Get ready for BuzzTV Adventure, exploring and discovering exciting destinations. I'm Jeff Vogel for Vero BuzzTV.com, and we are on a fantastic voyage to a fantastic location here at the Triton Submarine facility west of Vero Beach, just off of Route 60 there. And Jarl Stromer is here, and he's going to tell us everything about Triton Submarines. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
How did you ever get involved in this?
Well, that's a long story. I've been working with submersibles since the mid-1980s. Originally, I worked for the American Bureau of Shipping. They're a company that does the independent third-party certification.
So you're experienced with submersibles.
Yeah, you could say that, and I think that holds true for most of the people that we have here. I think what sets Triton aside from some of our competitors is the depth of experience that most of the people here have.
Tell me about this Triton submarine behind you. You've got many different models, yeah?
Well, Triton has been building these manned submersibles since around 2007. We have a variety of sizes and models, different depth ratings, the number of people it can take down to suit just about anybody's needs. The sub you see behind me is our most popular model. We call it the 3303. It dives to 3,300 feet and it holds 3 occupants. So 3,300 feet, that would be 1,000 meters. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty deep. The pressures at that depth are really something else, almost 1,500 pounds per square inch.
What brought Triton to Vero Beach to manufacture these?
The founders of Triton Submarines had worked originally during the Challenger disaster. They worked offshore in the recovery operation of the Challenger, and then they were associated with the Harbor Branch Oceanographic Institution for some time. And really, they fell in love with the area and were able to make a go of it building submarines here, because we actually drew upon a lot of the expertise from Harbor Branch as they stopped operating their subs. We were able to take a lot of their expertise and have those people work here.
Well, VeroBuzzTV.com just did a program about Harbor Branch Oceanographic last week, as a matter of fact, and in some of the video that they provided us, we saw some submersibles going down, and used that video. Were any of those Tritons?
Yes, absolutely. The submersibles, I believe, that you're referring to are 1002s. They dive to 1,000 feet, 2 passengers. There's the little brother to the one you see behind me here.
And the one behind us is the most popular of the models?
It is the most popular. It seems to be fitting the bill for most people because it's so much more capable. And the fact that you can take 3 people instead of 2 changes the whole dynamic inside the sub. If you're the owner and you don't know how to pilot, every time you go diving, you're just with your pilot. At least with a 3-man sub, you can have a pilot and your friend, wife, or a guest, whoever.
Jarl Stromer is the man who is in charge of compliance and procurement here for Triton Submarines. We're going to find out what compliance and procurement is when we come back from this quick break.
Since 1951, Globe Life and Accident Insurance Company has been providing families with life insurance protection. $1 covers the first month of coverage, whether you choose from $5,000 up to $100,000 of coverage. First day coverage means no waiting periods, easy to buy, no medical exam, no risk 30-day money-back guarantee. Up to $150,000 of accidental death coverage can be added to your policy. Globe Life makes buying life insurance easy.
Marsha.
Hi, I'm Penny Chandler.
I'm Freddie Wolford.
I am Barbara Hoffman.
And I'm Gregory Simpson.
I'm here with Police Chief David Curry.
You're in good company on VeroBuzzTV.com, Vero Beach's local TV station on the internet.
I just love it.
Tell a friend.
We love y'all!
I'm Jeff Vogel. We are at the Triton Submarine Manufacturing Facility. Is that the correct name I should be using?
Sure, Triton Submarines. Yeah.
And Jarl Stromer is the man in charge of compliance and procurement. What exactly are you complying with, and what do you procure?
Well, two great questions. Most important is compliance. Everything that we build here complies with the rules and regulations of an independent third party. In this case, it's the American Bureau of Shipping. They set the standards and they send in inspectors, they witness testing, and once we've had a design review and built everything to their satisfaction, we get their stamp of approval, so to speak, and that assures that you can get insurance on this product. And it's a very involved process, it's a rigorous process, and it's an expensive process. And being expensive is actually good in that it prevents the amateurs from trying to get into this business and building something that might not be safe.
Oh, I can't imagine someone who didn't know what they were doing even attempting something like this. Now, I can appreciate a foundation like Harbor Branch Oceanographic needing and wanting a submersible like this for their exploration. But who are your customers?
Our customers are primarily wealthy individuals. Submersibles traditionally were owned by institutions and the offshore oil and gas industry. Oil and gas industry has moved primarily to non-manned, remotely operated vehicles, and the scientific and research institutions, they find that it's very difficult not just so much to fund the operation of a submarine, but the surface support vessel. That's where it can get really expensive with fuel, a crew, full-time insurance, and so they don't always have the money to keep their submersible operations up and running. However, in this day and age, when a submersible is not just for science and research, we find that the private individual, the wealthy yacht owner who already has an interest in the oceans, they're realizing that they can own their own submarine. It's beyond the scope of just science fiction or James Bond. Right. They can have their own submarine, so they've become our primary customer now.
This has got to be the ultimate luxury item for a person.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's why they like this sub. 30 years ago, it was the helicopter on board the yacht. Right. And very few yachts had their own helicopter. Now we're at the point where they all have helicopters and they need to have that next cool thing. And the yachting industry in general is moving away from the ostentatious expressions of wealth to really how much fun can you have with your yacht. It's a younger generation of yacht owners, and they're into the adrenaline and the fun that they can have with their toys.
Yeah, it's one thing to go out onto the ocean, go out to sea, but it's another, what are you going to do when you get there?
Yeah, and this is the ultimate experience, is to be able to take your friends to go diving in your own submarine and to see what's under there. I mean, it's a very exclusive experience that you can provide for your guests.
Have you been down in one of these?
Of course, yes. I think all of us here have been diving at least once. Yeah.
So this is really something for the Tiger Woods of the world, and for you to enjoy experiences like this. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Tiger Woods has the financial wherewithal to own and operate a sub.
Let's find out how this thing is made when we come right back.
Now that health reform is law, you cannot be denied health insurance coverage. But you can pay too much.
As a single mom, I was convinced that we could not afford health insurance until I spoke to the people from ICANN, who told me that I qualified for a special enrollment and a subsidized rate. Now I get so much more for so much less.
Call now and get the ICANN mobile app free. So don't wait another minute. Call ICANN, get covered, save money.
Join Marsha Littlejohn nightly at 5 and 9 on VeroBuzzTV.com. Charles Stromer is the man who knows everything about Triton Submarines because he is the compliance and procurement director of this operation. West side of Vero Beach, they're making submarines. You might want one. And you know what? We were talking about who might own some of these. I'll bet some of the tourist locations have some of these available to take people out in, yes?
Tourist submersibles typically have a much higher occupancy rate, 48 to 64 passengers, and that's in order to make the profit. Now, these are used for you can use them for tourism, but you can't sell enough tickets to really...
The tickets would just be a little more expensive, that's all.
The people who buy these typically aren't looking to recoup their financial investment.
Okay. I can identify one thing. Headlights, yes?
Yeah, we have lights because, you go a couple of 100 feet down and it gets kind of dark after a while, and so we have very high intensity LED lights that really light up whatever it is in front of you and below you and even behind you.
As you know, they are commemorating currently the 300th anniversary of the sinking of the 1715 fleet off of the Treasure Coast. Would something like this be helpful if you're searching for treasure?
Certainly, and our submarines have been used to search for sunken gold. It was an artifact recovery operation up on the Pacific Northwest coast. And what's useful with the submersible is not just to be able to go look for the sunken artifacts, but to be able to bring people down and show potential investors in your project what is really going on down there. That's the utility of this, is you can bring any novice underwater. He doesn't need to have any athletic ability or health or scuba diving ability. You can get in this sub and go for a dive and see what the divers see.
Right next to me here is an arm of some sort. It looks like, is that truly an arm?
It is. It's a hydraulic manipulator arm, and you can control it from inside the sub using a little joystick. And you can use it to pick up things. You could
pick up the treasure chest,
bars of gold, whatever it is you happen to come across.
Once you pick them up, what can you do with them now?
Well, you can put them in a sample basket. You can carry a basket on the sub and pick up small. You can't pick up too much gold because you'd be too heavy to come back up. But once you found it, you know where to go back.
The greed would do you in that case. May I tap on this?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's thick. That's thick and heavy. What is that made out of?
That is acrylic plastic. It is the preferred material for used in transparent pressure boundary materials. So when you see the traditional submersibles that have the metallic sphere, they have little tiny windows. Those little tiny windows are made of the same material, acrylic plastic, as this. We've just made the entire hull out of acrylic plastic.
How in the world do you make that?
Well, that's really one of the hardest things about building a Triton submarine, is to get the acrylic hull as perfect as what we have it here. We have a vendor, a team in Germany. One part of the team makes the raw materials. The other part of the team machines it into the final form, bonds it together. It's actually made out of two hemispheres. There's, if you look closely, a glue line or a bonded seam right in the middle. It's 6.5 inches thick, and it keeps the occupants inside the sub safe, dry, and comfortable.
Is it
phenomenal?
Is it shark proof?
It is shark proof, bulletproof, idiot proof. How about that?
Well, that covers just about everything, I think. We're gonna go inside in a few minutes. First, we're gonna walk around the tail end. Yes, and you're gonna.
Let's have a look at the aft portion of the sub.
Don't go anywhere. We're going around the back.
Attention! This important message is for any American who is about to turn 65 years of age or older. Nation's Helpline has Medicare supplement insurance news that may benefit you, your family, or someone you know. Most Americans who are about to turn 65 years old know they need Medicare supplement insurance, even if they already have Medicare. The nation's Helpline Medicare Supplement team can guide you and help answer your Medicare questions. Call today.
Please call 800-632-2804.
Watch Chamber Buzz at 6 and 10 p.m. Mondays and Wednesdays on VeroBuzzTV.com. I'm Jeff Vogel. You're watching VeroBuzzTV.com, and we are on an adventure to the Triton Submarine manufacturing facility. It is a manufacturing facility?
We are a manufacturing facility. Most of what we do here is the final assembly of all the parts. We have, we talked about the acrylic sphere coming from Germany. We have pressure vessel parts coming from other local manufacturers, machine shops. The fiberglass parts come from Titusville. We try to do as much business as we can with local manufacturers. Not all of them can handle everything.
When you have finally assembled this submarine, does somebody have to come pick it up, or do you deliver it?
When we finally assemble it, we'll put it on a truck and take it down to typically the Port of Fort Pierce and put it on a ship, which will take it over to the Bahamas. The last step in the certification by the American Bureau of Shipping is that we do a checkout dive. And so we'll take an ABS inspector down to a 3,300 feet, and he can see that everything works as advertised. And once that happens, we'll arrange for shipping to its final destination, which could be anywhere in the world.
The front end is more glamorous, but the hard work is done back here, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the business end of it, where most of the machinery and equipment are located. And
what can you tell me? We got.
Well, what I will tell you is that the submersible is 100% electric powered. This right here is a battery pod. There are two just like it. The submersible operates.
It's so funny because it looks just like a fuel tank.
And, well, it's electric fuel. There's no internal combustion engine. It's strictly battery powered. So you would charge the sub up overnight so that you would have a full day.
Don't tell me you plug it in an AC outlet.
It's not as simple as that. We do offer chargers that would provide the equipment necessary to charge the batteries.
And these propellers on either end?
It's a thruster, an electric thruster. There are 4 of them. Depending on how you orient the joystick, it'll send proportional signals to all 4 thrusters to make the sub do whatever it is your joystick input tells it to.
And what kinds of things? We'll go ahead and start opening up the what do we call this?
The aft hatch.
We'll start opening the aft hatch and see what we've got. What's underneath here?
As I said, everything is electric. All the high voltage electricity goes into this. It's an electronics bottle. We keep a low voltage signal in and out of the hull. So from inside the sub, you can open and close switches that are kept here to turn on your thrusters, your lights, compressor or a pump, and hydraulic power unit. We carry compressed air in these black cylinders here. We carry compressed oxygen to provide life support while we're diving. The entire time we're diving, we're constantly providing oxygen at the same rate that it's being breathed in. And we also scrub carbon dioxide out of the cabin air, so to maintain an air-conditioned, comfortable environment.
How long can you stay under?
Typically, we carry enough electricity and life support for a 10-hour dive, which is more than what most people tend to want to dive. After a few hours, you want to come up and have lunch and use a restroom. But you can do 10 one-hour dives or 1 10-hour.
Wait a minute, there's no restroom on board?
We do not have a restroom on board. Space is limited.
Since 1951, Globe Life and Accident Insurance Company has been providing families with life insurance protection. $1 covers the first month of coverage, whether you choose from $5,000 up to $100,000 of coverage. First day coverage means no waiting periods, easy to buy, no medical exam, no risk 30-day money-back guarantee. Up to $150,000 of accidental death coverage can be added to your policy. Globe Life makes buying life insurance easy.
See Arts in Depth with Barbara Hoffman, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 and 10 p.m. Welcome back to VeroBuzzTV.com. We are inside the submarine, and we are being joined by someone here. His name is Calvin. Calvin, how are you today?
Very good, very good.
Calvin, what do you do? You're a pilot.
Yeah, I'm one of the pilots. I train people to fly this one.
What are the best locations for going underwater?
Some of the best diving I've done is up through Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands with one of these submersibles. It was absolutely fantastic.
Any place a little closer to home here?
We dove off the Bahamas, and it is fantastic out there also.
There is one thing missing here. Do you know what it is?
Tell me.
Other than the bathroom.
Tell me.
It's the no smoking sign.
Yeah, certainly you wouldn't want to contaminate the air in the sub this small.
But you do have cup holders.
We have cup holders, sure. Why not enjoy a nice sparkling beverage while you're diving? And
music? You got any music?
Sure, absolutely. We have some Polk audio speakers here. You can dock your iPod, play your own mix, or you can listen to the hydrophone. We'll let you hear what's going on outside the sub as well.
How many dives have you taken in one of these?
I've only taken one in this type of a sub. I've been on plenty of other different types of subs, but seating is limited. You know, we don't get out there as much. But if you want to talk number of dives, talk to Calvin or some of the others who've done tens of thousands.
Yeah. I think you could squeeze a fourth person in here personally.
Well, we really didn't count on that when we did the life support calculations.
Well, for example, do you need this thing in the middle?
We actually carry a wireless touchpad right here, so the pilot can control everything in the sub. He has it at his touch of a finger right in front of him with the joystick, the touchpad. Of course, redundant controls are over to the pilot's sides here, electrical on that side, fluid systems, gas systems on that side, and emergency hydraulics in front of them. But yeah, this is the control consolette for the pilot, so we can't get rid of that.
Do you sort of forget that there's something in front of you here?
You do. As a matter of fact, as soon as you submerge, because acrylic plastic has roughly the same index of refraction as water, the acrylic seems to disappear. And quite often, people's first reaction is to try to reach out and touch the water, because you kind of lose perspective of where the water ends and the dry part of the sub starts.
Calvin McGee, have you ever been down with someone and they start to freak out a little bit?
I have, and usually getting them calmed down is actually quite easy. But they just take a minute to get comfortable with it. And away we go.
It's actually one of the most tranquil experiences you can experience. And as soon as you get over the initial fear factor of being underwater, you realize that there's no problems breathing. Everything is under control. It's a slow, tranquil, and really quite beautiful experience.
Holly Smith, who is one of the producers at VeroBuzzTV.com, was going on taking a plane up north in the near future, and she was telling me she was going to take something beforehand to make sure that she was calm for the trip. If she was going in this, that might be advisable for her also.
Yeah, that could be advisable. But out of all the hundreds and thousands of dives that I've done, I've only had one person that was a little anxious, and that was about it. I did get her down on the dive, and she had a fantastic dive and dove again with us. So,
well, I'll bet, and part of that may be the initial sense of claustrophobia that someone might experience, but the walls kind of disappear, as you said.
The walls disappear. I wouldn't call it claustrophobia. It's just the sense that you're underwater.
Okay.
So some people have, I think, a fear of
being underwater.
Of being underwater, and as soon as you realize that, those issues are taken care of, you're not worried anymore.
Now that health reform is law, you cannot be denied health insurance coverage, but you can pay too much.
As a single mom, I was convinced that we could not afford health insurance until I spoke to the people from ICANN, who told me that I qualified for a special enrollment and a subsidized rate. Now I get so much more for so much less.
Call now and get the ICANN mobile app free. So don't wait another minute. Call ICANN. Get covered. Save money.
Freddie Wolfrick and Gregory Simpson invite you to Spotlight, Indian River, weeknights at 6:30 and 10:30. Jarl Stromer is he's everything here at Triton Submarines. I noticed one other thing we're missing. Windshield wipers. Yeah.
Well, with the air conditioning running inside, the inside stays fairly dry. So if you do get condensation, we carry a rag. We can wipe down the surface.
So no defroster or anything necessary in here, right?
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
And how do ocean temperatures affect the occupants here?
If we're diving shallow, it is quite warm inside the submersible. The acrylic is quite an insulating factor to it, and it stays quite warm. So we have a very good air conditioning system inside the submersible. Keeps it warm or cooler and dry. It's fantastic.
And what about in colder waters?
They've dove these in Antarctica, and no problem at all. You just shut the air conditioner off for a little bit.
Because this is how thick?
6.5 inches thick.
It doesn't look 6.5
It's
inches.
deceptive, but it is. Take my word for it.
I mean, it looks no thicker than a windshield on a car.
Yeah, but it's if you're looking at it obliquely, you can tell the thickness. And if you're looking at where the seam is, if you can find the seam, you can see the thickness. It's actually easier to see from outside than inside. And of course, here you can see how thick it is by looking at the hatch that spans the thickness of it.
Unbelievable. That hatch is, because it looks more like 8 inches than 6 inches to me, but that, all right, so
Well, it does span outside and inside the sphere, but yeah, the total sphere is 6.5 inches thick.
Jarl, how much, these must cost a pretty penny, yes?
About $3.6 million all in. Depends on how many options that you want. But a smaller.
Yeah, because this is the larger model, right? So we can get.
It may seem like a lot of money, but the real money is in operating the yacht or surface support vessel. Once you've got that covered, this becomes in the noise. And quite frankly, price is not the main factor that people consider when they're buying a submarine.
Are you telling me if I had to ask the price that I probably couldn't afford it?
I don't want to say that, but I will say that when you're at 1,000 meters deep, you don't want to be in the cheapest submersible you could find.
I guess there is a point at which, you don't want to spare expense. How does this seal up?
There's a small O-ring in it, and then because of this tapered fit that it is, it actually seals tighter as the submersible goes deeper, because there's more pressure pushing on it. It seals it tighter.
Will they let ordinary people come here and see what you're doing?
We give tours all the time. Every second Tuesday of every month, we have a tour from, I think it's from 10 to 11. Call the office, find out. We'll schedule a tour. No problems. We love talking about the product. We love showing it off. And if you have a group that wants a special showing, we'll try to arrange something.
Well, this is fantastic. Thank you both, gentlemen. I appreciate it very much. Yeah, come out here. Take a tour of the Triton Submarine. It's absolutely fantastic. Join Marshall Littlejohn nightly at 5 and 9 on VeroBuzzTV.com.